Hey guys, Nick with Elite Endurance again. Today we're going to look at another piece of equipment. This one also falls in the realm of being for strongmen, but the overall goal here is to take a look at strongman equipment and show how it's not necessarily just to be left in that realm of strongman. Anyone can use it, and they obviously have a benefit to them. Last time we looked at the farmer's handles. Today we're going to look at the yoke. So one big difference with this from the farmer's handles is that the yoke, unfortunately, you really can't replicate this with any other regular gym equipment. You could try doing just a barbell over your back, but where the weight sits on you is vastly different from where it sits when you load it up on the yoke. So again, this one's going to be specialized in that you have to have a yoke. As far as what brand we use, honestly, don't even know what brand, but anyways, yokes look just like this. Basic thing, looks like a big H. As you can tell, weight gets loaded on the lower portions of it, and so that's again what I was saying, there's a big difference between this and how you would just use a regular barbell over you, because the weight now is much lower than you. And what this will then tax, as you can imagine, would be core. Again, we want to make sure we're standing upright with this, just as we do any exercise. And really, it's just a matter of moving a heavy amount of weight a certain distance. Again, just like the farmer's handles, where that, again, you're moving it for a certain distance. This steps outside of that realm where we're not so focused on grip strength, because this really doesn't apply to that much at all, but rather just a matter of moving a large amount of weight a certain distance. So we'll go over some of the pointers. First and foremost, as I said, weight obviously gets loaded down there, so that's pretty self-explanatory. But one of the big things is making sure that you are centered with the yoke, because as you can imagine, once you get the weight up, if you're off center, that weight then is going to favor whichever side that you're off on. So if you're heavy on the right side, that weight's going to start dipping down. Just like with the farmer's handles, you want to make sure you have a good base going into it. If you're quick and sloppy with it, things will probably tumble down from there quite quickly. So like I said, first things first, making sure that you're dead center with it. Now, as far as actually getting the weight up, think about it as if you were unracking a barbell to do a squat. So good body mechanics. We're not just rounding over the back and lifting up. We want to eliminate that altogether. So like I said, think about it as if you're just unracking a bar to go do a squat. Now, once you got it up in the air, as Trisha's going to demonstrate here, real big key point here is where hand placement goes. So Trisha right now has it up high, just like you would if you were using a barbell for a squat. Now, the positive side to that is that it's definitely going to keep that bar slid into you, so that way as you're walking, it doesn't feel like the bar, which is much larger than a regular barbell, significantly larger. It's going to make it so it stays put and doesn't feel like it's starting to roll off your shoulder. The other option then would be to go low with it, to hold real low. Now, when you're holding low, that's great to prevent that weight from swinging. Like we talked about with the farmer's handles, if you walk too fast, things will start to swing. This is exaggerated even more. So keeping your hands low will then prevent it from swinging so much. However, as you can imagine, the bar as it sits on your neck is going to want to roll off more. What I always tell people, and what seems to work best, is to keep your hands one thumb's going to go right about here, obviously on the opposite side, but so it's going to go up there like that, and then your palm is going to come right as the adjustment leg goes into the body of the actual bar itself. You're keeping a little bit of a gap there because that's a kind of a bit of a pinch point, at least on this model anyhow. What this is going to do then is it's going to keep that weight still pushed into you, but at the same time give at least a little bit of support so that that weight doesn't start swinging on you. And like I had mentioned before, this bar is significantly bigger than your regular barbell. So it has a tendency to want to roll off you, and that can become uncomfortable and very fast. And I've seen, again, if people keep hands really low, if they're not minding where that sits on their back, it's going to start to roll. When that starts to roll, you'll see their overall posture will then roll with it as well, because obviously you're trying to compensate. You don't want this to come flying off your back. So as you start getting tired, you start rolling it more, it starts getting lower on your back. Now, I tell people, just as you would with a squat, put it wherever you feel is most comfortable, but what's most advantageous is if you have it up high. You kind of create a shelf with your traps up top here. It gives you a little bit of padding too. That way, like I said, it's kind of held in place up there that doesn't want to come rolling off on you quite as easily anyhow. Similar to the farmer's handles, the idea is we want to take small steps. We don't want to take large steps because this really will exaggerate swing, especially when you start to get into the higher weights that will really swing on you, and that'll want to pull you forward, it'll want to pull you backwards. So small steps. Just like with the farmer's handles, speed. good pace. Once you start to get more comfortable with it, start to increase that overall pace. Similarly, again, with those farmer's handles, when we talk about distance, maybe shorter distance, you're going to up that weight much higher. Longer distance stuff, you're going to start to drop that weight down a little bit more. Those are really the basics to it. Again, it's a simple piece of equipment. However, it has excellent benefits to us. It's just a matter of making sure that you're getting your base set. You're getting dead center, you're lifting it properly, you're not rolling at the back, getting that hand placement exactly where it's needed. That way it's most beneficial to the athlete. Those are the things that go into it that make it, let's say, a little more comfortable, because metal on the back, especially on this size, can sometimes get uncomfortable no matter how you're actually holding it. But again, if we keep with those basics, we keep them solid, then we seem to find that things go a little bit better for us. So again, I challenge you, give this one a try. This is a piece of equipment that we at Elite Endurance have. Other gyms carry these things. Again, I'm not sure brand, but this is held up pretty well for us. And see what you guys think. This isn't your average everyday exercise, and again, people shy away from it because they think it's just a strongman exercise, but it certainly is not. Once again, I'm Nick, Tricia, and until next time, guys, we'll see you then.